Yes, we're also looking forward to it. So it's nice to see the people joining, and it means there is some interest in the topic.
Yes.
And we also feel that topic is very important for many people, and it's not very clear because it's impacting everybody a lot, but how to deal with it, I think there is some maybe a kind of lack of understanding, maybe, or there is different opinions, let's put it this way. So I think the more we discuss this topic, the better, hopefully, the strategy everyone can have in their particular case, so they know what they can look for.
It's very difficult, isn't it, when there's so much noise on the internet and so much information and misinformation, and it's very hard to know what to do and where to start. And that's why our two experts. So I will begin. I will introduce who we have here today. So my name is Leah, and I'm hosting today's talk with our two autism experts. We have Dr. Irina Shurov, who was just speaking, and we have Ms. Olga Pavlova. So to give you a short bio of them both, first of all, Olga, she's a mother of 4. Her 2 youngest children are neurodiverse with autism and other neurodevelopmental conditions. She has over 15 years of specialised childcare and coaching experience. She's the founder of Puzzle Tree Academy, and she's passionate about helping parents create the best possible outcomes for their children whilst living fulfilling lives at the same time. She founded a specialised Ofsted regulated childcare service primarily for children with autism and speech delay in 2008. She then trained with Coaching Academy UK and several other coaching academies so that she could begin her journey of mentoring parents and youth with autism and help them with social, communication, emotional and transitioning life skills, as well as adopting healthy lifestyles. Our second autism expert is Dr. Irina Shurov. She's a nutritional neuroscientist, a therapist and an autism coach. She has a PhD from Cambridge University in the UK. She's a certified nutritional therapist, and she has over 20 years experience in science and health providing services. She founded Live Right, which is an initiative to help individuals with nutrition and well-being strategies. And through personalised coaching, she helps families achieve optimal balance between diet, health, life, and building an educational platform around healthy eating habits so that people can restore their relationship between food and themselves. Her focus is on children with ASD and other related neurological conditions. And she helps to detoxify, nourish, and reset a whole body biochemical balance by addressing the connection between the gut and the brain. And together they deliver a science-based approach, which they've married up with practical application. And this has proven to be absolutely ideal because it allows parents to experience real life and sustainable results. So, on to our most popular questions that we've had from you. First of all, Olga, what would you say causes language and communication delay?
First of all, thank you very much for everyone joining and watching. And it means that you are still in growth and progress, and you're looking for best possible outcomes for your children. And that's exactly what we are doing. That's exactly parents we are serving. So yes, what causes speech, language, and communication delay? First of all, let's focus mostly on this delays in children with autism, and this is primarily going to be our focus. What usually causes could be hearing problem, and that would be the first point when you go to doctors and you say, look, I think my child not developing speech as they expected, or they seem not to hear me, or I'm not exactly sure what's going on. That's the first thing that doctor going to refer you to check the hearing. And if that seems to be all right, then this is going to be eliminated, and then we're going to come to the processing is possible. One of the reasons processing delay or processing challenging. So when we have what we hear and then we cannot understand and process, and we hear too many noises, and there's as well too many stimuli from around, and they all interfere, and the child seems not to be able to pick up the speech and not to be able to focus on the speech because they're picking up so many other stimuli from elsewhere. Then could be intellectual delay or developmental delay, could be one of the factors with autism. So it's delay of how the brain is developed, and it takes longer for them to develop speech and as well to develop effective communication. So that's main few causes that may cause speech, communication and language delay, but as well there's a difference between speech and communication. That's it from me.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. And Irina, if anyone has any questions during our live broadcast, please just type them in the comments below and I will make sure that we address them at the end. Irina, so we had a question. Why was my normally developing child, who was speaking a few words as you would at around 2.5, and then suddenly they regress and stop talking altogether? Why does this happen?
Yeah, this is very interesting one, because I think about 50% of clients I'm working with actually come with the same kind of concern. So, and that's why I think it takes parents longer time to accept that child can be a different or got slightly different situation in terms of development, because at the beginning there is no signs, there is no symptoms, there is child was meeting all the milestones, physical and intellectual and developmental, during maybe first 2 years, and then something suddenly happened. And when we start to look into this situation, every situation is different, but you really need to look very deep at what can be caused that kind of regress, if you want. And then it's actually becoming clear that child always was a sensitive, like Olga was saying, there is a sensitivity is always there. It's just something parents don't notice, or maybe just again, every child is different, and we think, okay, this child is wired a little bit differently. But always some kind of stress happened between age 2 and 3, when the child is very vulnerable and where the pruned to sort of the brain need to be developed, but also need to have a potential to do it from inside, and from outside needs to be the right support. And sometimes these efforts don't meet. So there is some kind of stress might develop. Some people move from country to country, from house to house, to place. Baby can be born in a family. The vaccination is very sensitive topic, but vaccination also can be additional stress factor. We don't say it's causing the issues, but it can be additional stress factor. Child can be having some ear problems, lots of inflammation going on, like viral bacterial infections. There's lots of stress. We can put it all under the umbrella of the stress, because whatever child experience can be different stressors come together, and his glass just becoming a little bit full. So he is not able to develop that high cognitive function, because language and speech, it's about further functioning of the brain. So that's why the child stops and saving the energy for the basic functioning. So this is very simple explanation, but it means we can look into each case and see, okay, if that's some stressors play the role, how we can take this under control and help child to cope with the stress, minimize the stress, that child can develop further.
That's very interesting. So essentially, being overwhelmed by external influences that we do have control over to some extent can contribute.
Absolutely. We definitely have some percent of control. And in some cases, it can be very big percentage. In some cases, maybe less. It's again very individual. But every case we've been looking at together with Olga, or I'm in personal sort of practice, it's always can be improved. Child start to make more sort of functional speech, if you want, rather than just making noise. And the situation can start to improve again after it's probably been held for some time. Doesn't matter what age of child is, we always can look what is holding the speech development back, then we can really improve the situation.
Excellent. Thank you. And Olga, how do I know, this is another question that someone has sent in, how do I know if my child has simply speech delay or if the speech delay is related to, how can I distinguish?
Well, it's not for us parents to identify which one is first, but what parents can do is to start running some kind of diary and noticing what exactly they notice. How is it presents to them that child maybe just having speech delay or other symptoms, because to be diagnosed as autistic, to be diagnosed with autism, there is different aspects that doctors looking in child that specifically shows that it's autism, not a speech delay. And you always need to go to your family doctor first and address your concerns. And as I said before, they're going to first look at hearing, if child hears well, and then they're going to most likely refer either to neurologist or child pediatric doctor to assess what could be a problem. But your diary, your notes, it's going to be really helpful for them to identify when you present, okay, look, in that situation, she behaves like that. When I'm saying or doing that, it seems no response, but as well it's possible that when you put the hoover on or blender, your child closes your ears and start rocking. It could be all this kind of identifying factors that you can start recording, and when you're presenting the case to doctors, you giving them facts rather than I think, or maybe you give them facts that are going to help them to identify which one or both.
Excellent, thank you. And I suppose a question that came to my mind then was that, you often hear that the waiting time is so long to get a diagnosis, and that's quite a frustrating thing for parents. But I suppose in the meantime, parents could start implementing the removal of stress to try and better the situation themselves. That's what's so great about the Puzzle Tree Academy philosophy, is that it gives power back to the parents and allows you to start helping your children yourself whilst working in conjunction with professionals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so Irina, is speech therapy the only approach which really helps children with autism?
Yes, it is absolutely interesting question, because I think by definition, very often, if the diagnosis was, yes, the speech delay, there is a nonverbal child, so they definitely, the speech therapy is the main therapy probably come to mind, and it's quite traditional in every country, so the parents would be advised to go and talk to speech therapy. So from our experience, we know the speech therapy absolutely helpful, but it depends at what situation child is right now. It can be more helpful, it can be less helpful. Because if the child is very hyperactive, very low focused, can't concentrate, keep running all the time, making blah, 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 lots of noise, he just can't make that kind of connection with the speech therapist. So the therapist will have a really tough time to teach that child to pronounce the words, to make that kind of connection between noise and meaning of the word and things like that. So very often it can be wasted time. So that's why we really need to explore, like we said before, what actually can be contributing to factor to speech delay. And it can be few points. Olga already said about the hearing, which is a huge thing. So it's a part of a sensory integrative system, you know, of the basic brain. So it needs to be established at the right, more or less time before the cognitive function of the brain start to happen. This is why the speech and language happening. So we really need to see if your child met all the milestones, developmental milestones before, if there is all this kind of toxins around, maybe a contributing factor, if there is some toxins from inside of the body build up and give that kind of functional blockage of your child, that simple neuronal connection don't developing. So that's also can be explored and eliminated. So that's very important groundwork where you can do as a parent before your child, you know, actually getting to the appointment with speech therapist, where when child can focus and concentrate and, you know, hyperactivity taking under the care. So some stress eliminated, including relationships in the family. I've got a few interesting examples when you know, the relationships between parents settle, the child start to speak, start to make sensible noise. This is very common, typical. I'm sure Olga also came across that as an experienced mom of 4. So all these things we can do at home, and then the speech therapy can be very good therapy, but it's definitely not the only.
Exactly right. And it's not the starting point either.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because otherwise I suppose saying that you're setting yourself up for fail, because it might work for a bit and then they might regress again, or it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, it might work very well when the child, for example, speaks already quite well, but not maybe at the level of, you know, the age group, and got some kind of some mild issues in the school. That might be the speech therapy the best option to go for. But even then, I will explore the other points, just to tick the box. There is he's functioning well, he sleeps well, he produces energy well, he can focus well, he's not hyperactive, you know, he's eating well. All these factors absolutely important as fundamental, and then speech therapy will be helpful.
Yeah, as a complementary. Fantastic, thank you. Olga, what activities do you think best help language development in children with autism?
Yeah, thank you. That's a brilliant question, and it's always as well on the focus of many parents I've worked, and as well it was my focus primarily when already my child who has autism, and at that time she was 4 years old, she was still not communicating, not putting 2-3 words together. And then you put your main focus in how to help your child to speak. But first of all, I would like you to remove that focus. It shouldn't be your main focus. It's not the main focus how to help your child to speak. The main focus how to strengthen your child's systems, how to make it fun, how to create this nourishing, gentle, fun, good relationship between child and parent. That should be your main focus. And then I would say, yes, you go to doctors, and yes, speech and language therapy mostly going to be recommended, but as well look at other causes, as Irina mentioned before. It could be that some of the primitive reflexes not being integrated. You can include and you find resources, or you can come to our parent support group and we share with you resources where you really find activities and games and plays and cuddles to help your child to integrate those primitive reflexes, the ones that actually stopping next levels of cognitive and speech development and other aspects of development. Then as well make focus of having fun don't overuse elaborate vocabulary, and maybe you're going to think, if I talk to your child as often and as much, then she's going to hear me often and she's going to pick up. Don't do that mistake. If they have a processing challenge, it's too much for them. It's noise. It's another noise to all the other noise, the noise of light, the noise of car somewhere on the road, the noise of neighbors. It's another noise adding and overwhelming the system. So make sure you have limited vocabulary, right, for your child's developmental level. Another practical, useful tool is to use Makaton symbols, and you can stack them around the house in appropriate places. For example, you can put them outside, outdoors, and
Bring it a bit closer. Okay.
house, Play-Doh. So you put things around the house with the symbols that child going to start recognize. Sometimes our children, as they have neurodevelopmental condition, which autism is, their neurons, their brain developing different, and we all have different learning styles. Sometimes, and very often, children with autism, they have more visual learning style. They are visual learners. For them, your speech and other people's speech, it's just noise, but when they see the symbol and it's written at the same time, gradually we learn them to recognize the single word, and we can say preschool without any articles, without anything, just minimize to the level of your child. And then playing, for example, when you play, again, just put it very simple, single words to the level of your child. Obviously, if your child already connecting 2, 3, 4 words together, start adding some extra. And reading in the evening, reading regularly, helping your child following the words with the finger, looking at pictures, talking slowly as well. Make sure that you reduce your voice. You're not doing this high pitch that it's really irritating for children. Make it making a bit lower, make it calmer, because it's not a problem that they don't hear. If you already checked that their hearing is right, but if they struggling to cope with all the sound stimuli, reduce the sound, reduce the amount of words. And as well implement what is recommended by speech and language therapists and do it at home. Implement it at home and integrate into your daily routine.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Can I just add a little bit? I think it's very good what Olga said, but what I think what can be very interesting for you and for your child, doing rhymes, and especially if you do like a trumping or something, because the kids really like, that's why all this kind of swinging. And so this is vestibular system integration, so they really help. It's a little bit weak, so that's why when we're rhyming and do that kind of music like drumming or something, so it's really helping them to sort of stimulate the brain, the right part of it, so they remember it a little bit better. So if you do like a little rhymes, like a music or little songs and that kind of musical accompaniment, so that can be much better. And also, yeah, and also what you can do, you can try this, spin your child on a carousel or a roundabout or just a chair. So, and try to teach him some words after that. That might be quite effective, because that's the vestibular system, if it is a weak point on your child, can be sort of synced and integrated a little better for a short while, that then he can be focused and with you and present while you discussing something or teaching some words. That's just the practical tricks you can try straight away.
That's excellent. Thank you very much, both of you. That was very interesting, especially you know, yeah, the natural reaction would be to try and increase your child's vocabulary by talking at them extensively. So it's interesting to know you need to minimize so as to not overwhelm a child who's already overwhelmed.
Yeah, don't let it to TV or the games on the phone. So do it yourself. So that normal communication is absolutely vital for our children.
Okay, excellent. I think we need to wrap up now. So I would just like to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who joined us during this live broadcast. We really appreciate you taking the times out of your day to come and join us today. We're very grateful for your support, and we honestly do believe that together we can make mountains move so we can help our children with autism. In case you've missed our announcements, we have a very exciting event coming up in a couple of weeks' time. It's called Flourishing with Autism Masterclass. We have a few spaces available left on the 25th and the 28th of September and the 4th of October. So have a look at our link in our bio and you will find out more. Thank you very much, ladies.
And follow us. Click follow.
Thanks.
Have a good